My pranams to all Atma Jyotis, divine light of the self. I welcome all of you for today's program of Atmadarshana, flowering of bliss. Today, we are going to understand the essential nature of self-enquiry. Who am I? To find out who am I, to discover who am I, is the journey of self-discovery. Is the journey of unfolding the inner bliss, supreme bliss. Let us understand what is the self-enquiry. What is the self-enquiry we are speaking of? Don't I know myself? The spiritual teachings of Sanatana Dharma teach us that you are divine, you are God. Tattvamasi means that the word, your inner nature, yourself is God. Self-enquiry is to discover our true inner self. I have heard Tattvamasi, you are God, you are divine. All these things I have heard many times. What is the use? I am suffering so much in life. Life is a suffering. Life is a mess. If I am God, why should I suffer? So this is the question many people ask. If you are divine, why there is suffering? And how to get rid of suffering in life? Sri Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, I am the self seated in heart of all living beings. When we say Sri Krishna is God, God is in the heart of all living beings. Our reason for our suffering is because we have not recognized God, the inner self, in our life. We are searching for God in many places, in Himalayas, in the forests, in the ashrams, in the temples, in the monasteries, except one place, that's our heart. We have to discover the God in our heart. So that discovery is journey of self-discovery. When we discover God in our heart, we discover that my self is God. Because we don't know this, we are suffering. We identify the self with the body, mind, intellect, and many other things. But we don't identify the self with God. Recognize your true self through self-enquiry. Recognize God as myself. Then, what am I recognizing myself as? If somebody asks you any question about yourself, what did you say? What is your first response? I am engineer. I am doctor. I am a nurse. I am a housewife. So you introduce yourself by your profession, by what you do. Are you your profession? profession can change. While working in the office, you are a officer. But when you come to house, you are the husband or a father. The profession doesn't stick to you. If you lose your job, your profession is gone. How can you be your profession? Is profession your real self? Real you? Or profession is what you have? We have to understand what is the difference between what I am and what I have. Self-enquiry is about what I am, not what I have. You are not your profession. So many people, when we ask the question, tell about yourself. First thing they'll say, see, I am the owner of this car. If the car is BMW, they won't even tell the profession. I am the owner of BMW. Ownership comes into picture. I am the owner of this house. I am the founder of this company. I own a farmland, a big farmland. See, it's difficult nowadays to get a big farmland. I own a farmland. We don't tell about bank balance to others, but deep inside we know I am the owner of lot of assets. We will not tell about assets to others. The ownership of the asset, whether it's a building or a company or a vehicle or money or gold, is at the back of our mind. I am the owner. We identify with our possessions, what I have. Self is not about what you have. Self is about what you are. Self is not about what I have. Self is about what I am. That I am, the self, is God. I cannot have God. I can have possessions. So, am I my possessions? What is real self? What is the real I am? We identify I am with possessions. Possessions is what we have. Really, what I am, we have to question. We identify ourselves with the relationships. Husband, wife, friend, employee. We have many relationships. And these relationships are quite close to our heart. We enjoy the company or suffer from the company. Identification with the relationships is a second nature to us. I am the husband. I am the wife. We don't question I am the husband or I am the wife. Is a relationship. And all relationships are relative in nature. They are not absolute. They keep changing. One who was your friend earlier, very close friend, may leave you. Now there's no friendship. One spouse may divorce you. Unfortunately, sometimes some of our relations pass away. relationships are not absolute in nature. That's why it's called relative. Relationship is what we speak of. But we have to ask, who am I? My is not relative, it's absolute. I am related to myself as absolute. It doesn't change. But my relationship with everybody changes. Or your true self, which is not relative, but which is absolute. When we want to speak about ourselves, deep inside, we identify the body. I am a man, I am a woman, I am a young boy, I am handsome man, I am beautiful girl. This is deep inside our consciousness. We identify with our body. But body, if you see, as a small child, it's 1 feet body, it grows up, becomes old and dies. Body changes. How can I be my body? I was born, I grew up, I became old. Here body has changed, but nothing has happened. There's an unchanging relationship with myself and changing relationship with the body. How can I be body? So next thing comes to our mind when we introduce ourselves. I am happy, I am unhappy, I am sad, I am depressed, I am angry. So when we speak this, we identify I am with the mind. The mind has so many moods: anger, fear, jealousy, hatred, emotional disturbances. If you look, I am doesn't change, but moods change. The I am which doesn't change is the self. Moods change, which is mind. How can I be associated with the mind? Mental moods. How can I identify with the unchanging I am? Who is that I am which is not changing? How can I confuse unchanging I am with the changing mind? We have considered various kinds of identification of self with the non-self. Self is called Atma in Sanskrit. Non-self is called anatma. We have identified self, which is I am, with the relationship. We have identified the self with the possessions. We have identified the self with the profession. We have identified self with the mind. We have identified self with the body. So these are called 5 non-self, pancha anatmas. Observe closely. In any situation, the I am does not change. But what you identify changes. Whether it's a possession, profession, or relationships, or body, or the mind. We are mixing up what is changing with what is unchanging. The I am which is unchanging is at the center. I refer it as I, the real I. The real I is God, and changing non-self I call as matter. We are mixing up self with the non-self. We have to understand really who I am. We have a answer for cause of suffering. If I am God, why I am suffering? So Buddha says the cause of suffering is clinging or holding on to what is changing. All things, all things in the universe are continuously changing. Nothing is permanent. Holding on to what is changing is the cause of suffering. When you are holding on the self, which is I am, which is unchanging, with the changing anatmas, non-self, there is suffering. So find out real nature of I am. Our self, I am, does not change. But everything which is identified with the self changes. These are called 5 non-self or pancha anatmas. A child is trying to put a finger into the fan. If the fan is rotating, the finger will be cut. If the fan is stationary, nothing happens to the finger. Suffering in life we go through because we are trying to hold on to changing anatmas, non-self. Everything changes. Relationship changes, the position change, the profession changes, the body changes, the mind changes. We are not comfortable with change. That is the cause of suffering. We have to recognize our true self and be free from identification with non-self. So for that, we have to understand Nanu, Nanembudu, Nanalla, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nanalla, Sachidanandatma, Shivanam Nani, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. I am pure consciousness, Shosrupi. That I am, which is pure consciousness, is God. Myself is God. In that sense, recognize your true self. We can understand the nature of suffering from Ramana Maharshi's teachings. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, our thoughts are the cause of the problem. Nothing in the world causes suffering. It is the thoughts which cause the suffering. Of all the thoughts, there are about 70,000 thoughts. One thought is predominant, the I thought. I thought is the root of all the thoughts. Before any thought comes, there's a sense of I, me, the self. This I thought identifies the self with the non-self, Atma with anatma. If you do the enquiry, who am I? Self-enquiry. From 70,000 thoughts, you'll go to one thought because all 70,000 thoughts are standing on one thought. I am. Who is this I am? When you recognize, you are free from all the thoughts. The root we have to address. Enquire who I am and be free from suffering. The thoughts will reduce. The mind will be calm. Realize your true self, Atma. Drop the identification with the anatma. Drop the identification with the non-self. Atmadarshana program is brought to you by Light of Self Foundation, Atma Jyoti Vishwa Gurukulam. We are 25-year-old organization recognized by Karnataka Sanskrit University. All the members of the organization are volunteers. They are working for self-realization and selfless service. Atma Jyoti means light. We are spreading the light of love, wisdom, peace, and compassion. I welcome all of you to join in this yajna service. I welcome all of you to visit our website, enroll into courses, whichever you are interested, and like our videos and subscribe to our channel.